The moment Ryan saw me walk into the boardroom, his hands flew to his head, fingers digging into his hair, eyes wide with raw panic, sweat already dripping down his face. Exactly like the broken, terrified man on the left side of the image. In that single second, he realized the game was over. He had spent months lying to my face, forging my signatures, and secretly plotting to steal my entire $32 million company. He thought I was weak. He thought I was naive. He thought I would cry, break down, and disappear quietly while he ran away with my money and my operations manager. Instead, I walked in wearing a sharp black suit, sat down in my CEO chair like a queen returning to her throne, crossed my legs, and smiled. Because I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the storm he never saw coming. My name is Victoria Lang. At 31 years old, I built Apex Innovations from a tiny one-room apartment into a $32 million cybersecurity powerhouse. I sacrificed relationships, sleep, health, and countless nights to make it successful. Every line of code, every client contract, every late-night strategy session belonged to me. And the man I loved, the man I was supposed to marry in just 8 weeks, Ryan Harper, tried to take it all away from me. Ryan was my fiancé and co-CEO. I trusted him completely. I gave him 25% equity, full access to every bank account, power of attorney, and even let him lead major client negotiations. I believed we were building an empire together. I introduced him to investors. I defended him when people said he was too ambitious. I ignored every small red flag because I was in love. That love almost destroyed me. It all exploded 2 months before our dream wedding. I had returned early from a high-stakes client meeting in London. It was past 10 p.m. when I quietly entered our shared office floor. I heard voices coming from the main conference room. Ryan's voice. And my operations manager? Sarah's. I froze outside the door and started recording on my phone. Ryan was speaking with cold confidence. Once I transfer the remaining shares into my name and call the emergency board meeting next week, we'll vote her out as CEO. The buyer is ready to pay $32 million cash. We sell everything, move to Singapore, and start our real life. Victoria will be left with nothing. She's too emotional and too busy planning the wedding to notice what's happening. Sarah laughed softly. She actually believes you love her. It's almost sad how naive she is. I stood there in the dark corridor, heart shattering into 1,000 pieces. But instead of crying or bursting into the room, something inside me went ice cold. He lied, and now I was going to make him pay. I didn't confront him that night. I quietly left the office, drove to a hotel, and cried for exactly 1 hour. Then I wiped my tears, opened my laptop, and started planning the most calculated revenge of my life. The next morning, I went home, kissed Ryan on the cheek, and smiled like the loving fiancé he expected me to be. I asked him how his day was. I let him hold me. I played the role perfectly. For the next 6 weeks, I became 2 people. On the surface, I was the excited bride-to-be, busy with wedding preparations. In secret, I became a machine. I hired the city's most ruthless corporate lawyer, Rebecca Langford, and a world-class forensic accounting team. We worked around the clock in complete secrecy. What we uncovered was worse than I imagined. Ryan had been planning this for over 8 months. He had forged my signatures on multiple documents. He had created shell companies. He had secretly diluted my shares. He had already found a buyer willing to purchase the company for $32 million. He and Sarah had opened joint offshore accounts in Singapore. They had even chosen an apartment together. In their private messages, Ryan had written things like, "Victoria is so easy to manipulate. A few compliments and she believes anything. Once we're rich, I'll never have to pretend to love her again." Every word was like a knife, but I used that pain as fuel. We gathered bulletproof evidence, bank records, forged documents, secret audio recordings, IP logs, and full digital trails. I even had a private investigator record Ryan and Sarah meeting in hotels. Meanwhile, I continued playing the perfect fiancé. I let Ryan think his plan was working smoothly. I even discussed honeymoon destinations with him while my lawyer prepared the final trap. The day of the emergency board meeting he had secretly scheduled finally arrived. Ryan stood at the head of the long mahogany table in a sharp navy suit, looking every bit the confident future owner of my company. 10 board members and senior executives sat around the table. With fake concern in his voice, he announced, "Unfortunately, due to Victoria's recent emotional instability and declining performance, I am proposing we immediately remove her as CEO and appoint myself as the sole leader so we can move forward with a strategic sale of the company." Some board members looked uncomfortable. A few nodded. That was when I pushed open the glass doors and walked in. The entire room went silent. Ryan's face drained of all color. His hands started shaking. Sweat instantly appeared on his forehead. He looked exactly like the panicked, broken man in the left photo, hands gripping his head in disbelief. "Victoria." What are you doing here?" he stammered, voice cracking. I walked straight to the head of the table, pulled out the CEO chair, sat down slowly, and looked him dead in the eyes. "Please continue, Ryan," I said calmly with a small smile. "I want to hear the rest of your plan to steal my company." Before he could speak, Rebecca walked in with 2 federal agents. I connected my laptop to the big screen and played the recordings. The entire board watched and listened as Ryan and Sarah planned my complete destruction in their own voices. The reaction was immediate and brutal. Board members who had known me for years turned on Ryan with fury. Security was called. Ryan tried to beg, to explain, to cry. But it was too late. In front of everyone, he completely broke down, hands on his head, crying, sweating, panicking, the exact image from the thumbnail. The revenge didn't end there. The court case was fast and merciless. All evidence was ironclad. Ryan was forced to sign over every single share back to me for $1. He had to pay $4.8 million in restitution and damages. His assets were frozen. Sarah was fired immediately and blacklisted from the entire industry. The buyer who tried to help him was exposed and sued. Ryan lost everything: his reputation, his career, his money, his future, and the woman he betrayed me for. Sarah left him the moment the scandal became public. Last month, I heard he's now working as a junior sales executive in a small firm in another city, living in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment, struggling to pay legal bills, and drowning in debt. Meanwhile, I sit here in this luxurious brown leather CEO chair, exactly like the right side of the image, calm, confident, and in complete control. Apex Innovations is now valued at $47 million and growing rapidly. We just signed 2 new major government contracts. The company is stronger, more secure, and more profitable than ever. I learned the hardest and most valuable lesson of my life. Never let a man, no matter how much you love him, have unchecked power over what you built with your own blood, sweat, and tears. Trust is earned, not given blindly. Today, when I walk into the office, employees look at me with respect. Investors trust me more than ever, and every time I sit in this chair, I remember that moment when Ryan's face showed pure terror. I don't feel hate anymore. I feel power. I feel freedom. I feel victory. He lied to me. He tried to destroy me. He underestimated me, and I made sure he will never forget what happens when you betray a woman who built her own empire. Because the woman on the right side of the image, calm, powerful, and sitting on her throne, is who I truly am. And the man on the left? He is nothing but a reminder of what happens when greed meets a woman who refuses to be broken. He lied. I won. And that is the sweetest revenge of all.